नमस्ते हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया. I am JVM Dr. Meenakshi, Assistant Professor in Department of Shalakya Tantra, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Today in this session we will discuss the rest part of the cicatricial conjunctivitis. In the earlier session we have discussed the ocular mucous membrane pemphigoid and the Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrosis etiology. So in this session we will discuss the clinical pictures of the SJS and TEN. So what are the symptoms of these two diseases? There will be acute onset of fever and skin rash, red eyes, malaise, arthralgia, and respiratory tract symptoms. Then we come to the systemic signs and the ocular signs. That signs can be systemic or the ocular related to the eye. The systemic signs, there will be classic target skin lesions. We will see the maculopapules with a red crater and white surrounding area or the bullae. And there will be hemorrhagic inflammation of mucous membrane. For example, the hemorrhagic lip crusting. And next there is ulcerative stomatitis. And last is the sloughing of epidermal surface, which is seen in the toxic epidermal necrosis. It is also called the Nikolsky sign. Here in this image, you can see the skin lesions, which are called the target skin lesions. And on the right side, there is the hemorrhagic inflammation of mucous membrane. And so, and the lower image, there is a sloughing of the epidermal surface. Then there are the ocular signs. Ocular signs are on the base of the severe chronicity. If there is acute disease, then there will be papillary, mucopurulent, pseudomembranous conjunctivitis. In case of late disease, conjunctival scarring and symblepharon formation, trichiasis, and lid deformities. Dry eye resulting from loss of goblet cells and destruction of lacrimal gland ductules and corneal neovascularization, ulceration, perforation, and scarring. So in this clinical picture, there are the systemic signs. These are the ocular signs. There would be the clinical picture of Stevens-Johnson syndrome. Next is the treatment of these two diseases, Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrosis. There are the two treatment is in the form of systemic treatment in acute phase, ocular treatment during acute phase, and the late stage interventions. So systemic treatment in acute phase, we will do the removal or treatment of the inciting factors. We should give the IV immunoglobulins. The role of systemic steroid is controversial. We should do the maintenance of hydration. We should go for the debridement and replacement of sloughing skin. Next there is the ocular treatment during acute phase. We should give the topical tear drops and prevention of exposure. We should do the topical antibiotics and steroid eye drops. Then pseudomembranous peel and symplepharon lysis with glass rod or moistened cotton swab should be done daily. And in the late stage interventions, which is similar to the ocular mucous membrane pemphigus. The next is the secondary cicatricial conjunctivitis. The cicatricial conjunctivitis may occur secondary to the injuries to conjunctiva, such as thermal, radiational, or chemical burns. Then infective conjunctivitis, such as trachoma and viral pseudomembranous conjunctivitis. Here is an image of the secondary cicatricial conjunctivitis. You can see the scar formation in this symblepharon. Then next type is the toxic conjunctivitis, which is the last form of conjunctivitis. They can be again in the two forms, secondary to the molluscum contagiosum and chemical toxic conjunctivitis. First, we will study the toxic conjunctivitis secondary to molluscum contagiosum. It is a type of chronic follicular conjunctivitis that occurs as a response to toxic cellular debris disseminated into the conjunctival sac from the molluscum contagiosum nodules present on the lid margin, the primary lesion. Here is an image of the molluscum contagiosum conjunctivitis. The signs are on the left side, you can see the waxy umbilicated eyelid nodule and which are multiple in number. On the right side, there is an ipsilateral chronic mucoid discharge and follicular conjunctivitis. So treatment of this molluscum contagiosum conjunctivitis is the destruction of eyelid lesion. Next is the chemical toxic conjunctivitis. It is an irritative follicular conjunctival response which occurs after prolonged administration of topical medication. So the common topical preparations associated with the chronic follicular conjunctivitis are idoxuridine, in short IDU, ephedrine, pilocarpine, DFP, adrenaline, neomycin, and preservatives including contact lens solution. So here completes our toxic conjunctivitis also. So in these all sessions we have discussed the conjunctivitis, that is the inflammation of conjunctiva, and which were classified on the basis of infective conjunctivitis, in which we studied the bacterial conjunctivitis, viral conjunctivitis, chlamydal conjunctivitis. There can be other types of conjunctivitis like fungal conjunctivitis, rickettsial, spirochetal, and protozoal parasitic, but they are not of so much importance. We have studied the allergic conjunctivitis. We have studied the cicatricial conjunctivitis, and we have studied the traumatic conjunctivitis also. So traumatic means this toxic conjunctivitis also. So these are all the types of conjunctivitis, which is the inflammation of conjunctiva, and they all their separate clinical features, signs, symptoms, they all have been discussed. Their pathology have been discussed, their etiology have been discussed, and their management, the separate management of each type of conjunctivitis have been discussed in these all types of conjunctivitis. So first we have we should do the differential diagnosis, which type of conjunctivitis is there, then accordingly we should do the management of the disease. So this is an important topic for the purpose of clinical practice and for also the exam purpose. So please look into the matter and study properly. Thank you so much. This session is powered by digital version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will resolve it soon. Thank you so much. Where the retina ends. Here the retina is firmly attached both to the vitreous and the choroid. The pars plana extends fairly from the orbis serrata. Then the microscopic structure. Retina consists of 3 types of cells and the synapses arranged in the following 10 layers. First layer is the Pigment epithelium or the retinal pigment epithelium. It is the outermost layer of retina. It consists of the single layer of cells containing pigment, and it is firmly adherent to the underlying basal lamina, which is called the Bruch's membrane of the choroid. And there's a term called subretinal space. It is the potential space between the retinal pigment epithelium and the neurosensory retina. There's the anatomy of retina. Then layers of second layer is the layer of rods and cones. Rods and cones transform light energy into the nerve impulses. Rods contain photosensitive substance rhodopsin, whereas the cones contain photosensitive substance iodopsin. The cone cells are helpful in photoptic vision and rod cells in scotopic vision. The cones are about 120 6.5 million, and rods are about 120 millions. The rods, they're the cylindrical photoreceptors found in the greatest concentration on the edges of the retina. Most common type of receptor allow us to see in low light and provide for peripheral vision. The cones, they are the conical photoreceptors found in greatest concentration near the center of the retina. There are three varieties of cones, each more sensitive to a particular wavelength of light. Blue, green, and red allow for visual acuity and color vision. The external limiting membrane. Fenestrated membrane extending from the oroserato up to the edge of optic disc, and the process of rods and cones pass through it. Next layer is the outer nuclear layer. It made up of the nuclei of the rods and cones. The cones nuclei have the dimension 6 to 7 micrometer, and rod nuclei is 5.5 micrometer. These nuclei lie in a single layer next to the external limiting membrane. Rod nuclei form the bulk of this layer, except that cone dominated foveal region. Next layer, the fifth layer, is the outer plexiform layer. This layer is made of synapses between the rods, spherules, and cone pedicles with the dendrites of bipolar cells. Bipolar cells are the first order neurons of visual pathway. The next sixth layer is the inner nuclear layer. It is very thin and is similar to the outer nuclear layer. It consists of various type of cells like bipolar cells, horizontal cells, amacrine cells, Mueller cells, central retinal vessels, the glial cells, and this layer disappears at fovea. Next, seventh layer is the inner plexiform layer. It consists of the synapse between bipolar cell and dendrites of ganglion cell. It is absent at fovea. The eighth layer is the ganglion cell layer. It mainly contains the cell bodies of ganglion cells, which are the second order neurons of visual pathway. There are two types of ganglion cells, midget ganglion cell and postsynaptic ganglion cells. The major ganglion cells are present in macro region with the dendrite of each such cell synapses with the axon of single bipolar cell. The polysynaptic ganglion cells lie predominantly in peripheral retina, and each cell may synapse with up to 100 bipolar cells. The ninth layer is the nerve fiber layer, the stratum opticum, which consists of the axons of the ganglion cells which pass through the lamina cribrosa to form the optic nerve. The next layer is the tenth layer, the internal limiting membrane. It is the innermost layer and it separates the retina from vitreous. It is formed by the union of terminal extensions of the Mueller's fibers and is essentially a basement membrane. The next slide is of the blood supply of the retina. The outer four layers of retina is supplied by the choriocapillaries, and the inner six layers they get the supply from the central retinal artery, which is a branch of the ophthalmic artery. The outer plexiform layer gets partly by the both the above arteries. The fovea is avascular and is mainly supplied by choriocapillaries. The inner portion of retina is perfused by branches of the central retinal artery. In 30% of eyes, a cilio-retinal artery, branching from the ciliary circulation, supplies part of inner retina, mainly the macular region. The retinal blood vessels, mainly the inner blood retinal barrier. This physiological barrier is due to the single layer of non-fenestrated endothelial cells, whose tight junctions are impervious to tracer substances such as fluorescein. So here completes our anatomy of retina. Thank you so much. This session is powered by Digital Version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will resolve it soon.